see our deacon back. To see our deacon back.
It's great to be seen and to see.
May you continue to heal Bill. This is a homily that's going to be in 3 parts. 1 part inspiration, I hope. 1 part information. And 1 part perspiration. And you can figure out which is which as we go along. You know, in our gospel passage this evening, it's not really about the leper. You know, Mark lays out this text of the healing of the leper. Certainly that's something everyone's talking about, that Jesus did another healing miracle and all of the things that go with it. But it's really not about that. If you take a look at our first reading, where the law is laid out about how you deal with the judgment of leprosy and how you deal with a leper in the community, that's about an external judgment. But in the gospel, it focuses on Jesus' compassion. Not on judgment, not on separation, but how do I reach out and bring this person into the community through healing? I think that's a great challenge for us as we're about to go into the Lenten season. Where do you and I need to be healed? What is it that separates us from the community? What is it that keeps us at a distance from the community? Where do we need the healing power and strength of our God? That's a question that we really need to ask ourselves. That can sometimes be very hard to do. We've got a lot of points of information for the next part, so I'm actually using notes tonight. But for us to be willing, you know, if a person has an external disease, or Bill with his situation with his eye, that's pretty straightforward. It's there. You can see it. You can feel it. You know that it's there. You can't avoid it. But how many things in our lives do we avoid by simply turning a blind eye to it? If we pretend, if we don't look at it, it's really not there. You know, so our own greed, our own anger, our own prejudice, our own pride, the things that separate us from the community, things that in turn separate us from God. Our judgments, that we judge someone worthy or someone unworthy. They keep us away. They distance us. And we are not able to experience the compassion of our God. And yet that's why we're here. That's what we are called to by virtue of our baptism. And in a few days, as we enter into the Lenten season, it's going to come up in front of us again. But you know, it's real easy to go through Lent pretending it's not really what it is. You know, Lent, it's that time when we go on a diet, we give up Snicker bars. I say that every year. You know, we go through the little stuff. We get Ash Wednesday, we get Palm Sunday, we do the things, yada, yada, and we go on. But do we sit down and say, this is an opportunity given to me by God and by the church to confront the leprosy in my own life, to confront the blindness in my own life? What are the corners of my life I don't want to look at? And I certainly don't want God or anybody else to see. And so I keep them covered over. I keep them hidden. What are the ways in which I need to be healed? That's the question that takes us into Lent. Where do we need healing in our own lives? In the coming weeks of Lent, there's a lot of different things that will be going on. But before we even step out into Lent, you know, we got to begin Tuesday night with our Mardi Gras celebration. You know, so here, as we have for the past couple of years, Tuesday night at 6 o'clock we'll gather to burn the palms. So those of you who have palms left over from this past year and you want to burn them before you get new palms for the coming year, then just either drop them off here at church or bring them Tuesday night to the party, and we will burn them and grind them down for ashes on Wednesday. So Mardi Gras party is open to everybody. It's free of charge. Just bring dessert with you, and we'll all have a good time. We've managed to do that so far. Also, it's that time of year when we have the annual ministries appeal. This is in case you haven't figured out, this is the information phase. You know? The annual ministries appeal from the diocese. Some of you may have already received 2 mailings, one signed by me and one signed by the bishop. It's not 2 different campaigns. It just means that you happen to be on the bishop's mailing list. Lucky you. You are on the bishop's list, and so therefore you got 2 notices about it. Just, I didn't want anybody to get confused because we already got a number of different questions about it. And so if you got a letter directly from the bishop's office, that means that you gave in the last campaign 2 years ago. And so therefore they're following up on that. But thank you very much for your generosity. The annual ministries appeal is our way as a parish to participate in the ministry of the diocese. Not just for St. Joe's, but for the Diocese of Monterey. It's our way to be a part of that. And thank you very much for your annual generosity. Then this coming Wednesday, as I said, is Ash Wednesday. There'll be 2 masses here, one at our usual 9 o'clock time, and there'll be ashes distributed at the end, and then mass again at 5:30 in the evening with ashes. Those who can't make those 2 mass times, there are masses in a wide range of places around the area, but if you can't make any of those, ashes will be here on the altar, and the prayer for the imposition of ashes. You do not need a priest or a deacon to impose the ashes. You can even do it for yourself. Okay, so they will be blessed, and if you can't make it at any of the other services, feel free to come here, and the ashes will be on the altar together with a prayer for imposing the ashes on yourself. Also, what about Lent? You know, how do we look into those corners? There are a lot of opportunities that we have in the parish. The new Arise program, we already have over 80 families, and I want to thank Bill Prunty and Paul Danielson and Tom Lukes and a number of other people on their committee who have done a very fine job of putting this together. If you have any questions, I'm sure they'd be happy to help you or to answer any of your questions. But we have a good number of people that are participating in those groups. But also together with them, there are several scripture study groups, spirituality study groups, our Heart and Soul program that works preparing food for down at Dorothy's Kitchen. All of those things are opportunities for us to take a look at how do we participate? How do we recognize the various ways in which we need God to heal us? And then last of all, there will be, as usual, the Easter letter that I send out. And in the Easter letter will be all of the times and details for Holy Week. So I'm not going to go into that now. I'll save that for the letter later on. But just know, Holy Week is coming. Get ready.